Thanks to Todd Hartley, the Georgia Bulldogs are known across college football as Tight End University. It's a big deal. If you play for Todd Hartley, you're going to be a really good player. You're going to get developed. You're probably going to play in the NFL. Brock Bowers is probably going to be a top 10 pick this year. But unfortunately, every tight end that comes through Georgia will now be compared to Brock Bowers. It's not fair, but that's how it is. Brock Bowers was the best college football tight end of all time. And before him, there was Darnell Washington. And before that was Trey McKitty. I mean, Georgia's pumping out tight ends like no one. I mean, I think they passed Iowa and Notre Dame. But if you play tight end at Georgia, you're going to be a really good player. And you're going to make a big impact. They've got two guys on the commit list that I am all on board on. But first I want to talk about Jaden Rell, because he is a guy, he's an incoming freshman right now. He's already with the team, and he apparently, I've heard from several different people that he's the real deal. 6'3", 6'4", probably 230, 235, plays the position like a receiver, a fluid runner. He's fast. He is really quick. He's got burst for 235. That kid is moving. Great hands. I think he has the potential to be maybe a first, second round pick type of a guy who just makes a big impact. I'm not saying any of these guys are going to lead the team in receptions or touchdowns or anything, or do anything like Brock Bowers. But I'm going to talk about Ethan Barber real quick and Ellis Williams. I wrote about Ellis Williams, did a little film review. You can watch that over on Dawg Post, read that on Dawg Post, but his highlights are there too. 6'7", 235. He's the number 18 overall prospect in the country, number one tight end for a reason. And you watch what he did as a junior last year. And again, you can do that on Dawg Post. Big play machine. Now, Camden County is a team down in southeast Georgia. They run the ball. It's a run-heavy offense. So he only caught 25 passes, but he took them for 530 yards, 7 touchdowns. When they threw the ball, they went to their big tight end. He's a basketball star. Again, he's got plenty of size and length. First time I saw him, I thought he'd be a dynamic outside linebacker, pass rusher with that length he's got and that burst off the line. But he showed big-time ball skills last year, can make the tough catch over 2 or 3 defenders. He's great after the run. He'll bounce off tackles. I mean, he was trucking kids last year. A big-time weapon in the red zone, in the end zone. There's a lot to like about his game, and he runs. He's not a burner, but he runs really well for 6'7", 235, and he's a tough guy to bring down by just one defender down the field. There's a lot to like about his game. He's a big-time run blocker, too, using that size and length. He latches onto a dude, he drives him backwards. So there's a reason Georgia went hard after this kid. Makes it a little easier that he's an in-state guy. He was down at Clinch County, I think. Charlton County before going to Camden County. But number one tight end in the country, committed to Georgia. And then Ethan Barber, Alpharetta, kind of my neck of the woods. I saw him play against Pope last year, 5 catches, 150 yards. I thought he scored a touchdown. Now that I think about it, he was out at the 2-yard line. You can watch some of those highlights on our Dawg Post YouTube channel, on this channel, from back in October. But 6'3", 225, little undersized, but he reminds you of Brock Bowers at the high school level. He was just a junior, but you can hand it off to him. You can use him in the screen game, the short passing game, vertically down the field. He's great after the catch. He'll stiff arm you. He'll outrun some defenders. Again, he's not some track star. I mean, he probably does track and field. I think he does. He's a really good athlete. But again, he can pick him up and put him down really well at 225. Shows good balance, body control, ball skills, plays the position like receiver, but can block as well. I was a big fan of him before Georgia really even offered him and pushed for him. But when I watched him play, he was one of the best players I saw of any high school football player last year. So they got 2 dogs. Ethan Barber, again, I want to make sure I say this. 4 touchdowns against Chattahoochee. Chattahoochee is not very good. They're not very good. But 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns. He can take over games. And when he gets into a rhythm, he's a big deal. I saw him play his sophomore year against Jefferson. Sammy Brown came and played at Alpharetta. They lost that game. Crazy game, but Sammy Brown went nuts for the Dragons, but they came up short. Ethan Barber had, I think, 2 touchdowns in that game. Easy over 100 yards, close to 10 catches. But he had 9 catches for $182 and 2 touchdowns against Lassiter, a program that is just I don't know what happened, but they've been bad for years now, years. But when I saw him, he was the best player on the field by far, and I remember leaving saying, that's a Georgia kid. That's a Georgia kid. I know that kid can play at Georgia. I know he can make an impact there too and have a nice career under Todd Hartley. These are game changers. But of course, can they bring any type of aspect that Brock Bowers did? Ellis Williams is a mix of Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers. He's bigger than Brock Bowers. He's not as big as Darnell Washington. He can block, but he can catch. But he's not as explosive. He's probably not a guy who you can hand the ball off to or help in the screen game. If he's in the screen game, he's blocking for someone else. You could use Ethan Barber in the screen game and in a way that they use Brock Bowers, but he's not as fast. He doesn't have that twitch or that X factor. And maybe you don't know if the kid has that X factor at the collegiate level until he proves it. He does at the high school level, and he's just different. He moves different. He plays different. And it doesn't take long for you to notice Ethan Barber out there for the Alpharetta Raiders and say, okay, yeah, I see why that guy is going to Georgia. You see it immediately with Ellis Williams because he's 6'7", 235, and he kind of runs like not a big time deer, but like he runs like he runs with force. But he's not, the deers are fast. I don't think Ellis Williams is fast. I think he's fast for 235 pounds. I had that thought in my head, and then it went away from me. And I was trying to grab it. I couldn't grab it. I lost it. But we keep going. We push. These guys push down the field. Really good players. And then, listen, what I'm trying to say is that the Georgia tight end room is going to be loaded for the foreseeable future. Jaden Rell. I haven't even talked about Oscar Delp. Ben Urisic, coming from Stanford. I may have butchered his last name just then. Probably. But we push. Lawson Lucky's really good. Pierce Sperlin is really good. Those guys are pass catchers as well. All these guys can catch the football. There's no doubt. But now you're bringing in guys like Ethan Barber and Ellis Williams who can play on the perimeter. Ellis Williams can win your jump ball situations on the outside. He can play tight end right next to the tackle, and he can work the middle of the field. But he's a guy you can say, okay, go out wide, single coverage. You got one dude on you. We're going to throw it up to you. 5-yard line. Hey, let's fade in the end zone. He brings that type of ability. And then Ethan Barber's so good after the catch, too. He's really tough to bring down. And, again, he's not small. He's 6'3", 225. He's a big guy. But he's not as big as most traditional Georgia Bulldog tight ends. But that's fine. Brock Bowers is not the biggest guy either. He's listed at 6'4". I'd be surprised if the NFL Combine says that he is a legit 6'4". I think he's 6'3", 6'3.5", and that's fine. That's fine. Especially when you have that, you run like he does and have that big-time ability to kind of play fast with your pads on. Brock Bowers just plays fast. And Ethan Barber plays that way too. So two of the best tight ends already on the commit list. They both said yes. Oh, well, Ellis Williams, they got to hold on to Ellis Williams. He's taken some visits to Florida State. I think Georgia needs to continue recruiting him like he's uncommitted because they're going to have to hang on to him. Whereas Ethan Barber, I think, really is 100% locked in. Florida State is going to push for Ellis Williams, who basketball guy too. So I love the multi-sport guys. Those are competitors. Those are guys who are willing to just play ball. I mean, they're ballers. They want to go out and compete. And so Williams in particular, kid down in Camden County, has size that you can't teach. And he's a multi-sport guy. He's a really good athlete for his size. And Ethan Barber is just a baller, pass-catching machine who will only get better. If you're Todd Hartley, I mean, you look at his recruiting board and it's check, check, check. He's getting his guys. He always gets his guys. And Jaden Rell is one who can make an impact this year as a freshman, but he's got Lawson Lucky, who's hungry for more playing time. Pierce Sperlin, Oscar Delp is looking to have a massive year and maybe enter the draft this time next year, be in the NFL Combine. I think that's totally in the realm of possibility. But no matter who's playing tight end at Georgia, they're going to be really, really good players, and they've got some of the best across the country. These two in particular that I talked about, Ethan Barber, Ellis Williams, they're both from Georgia. They're both from the Peach State. They're still two of the best across the country. Really, really good players. They're not Brock Bowers, but they're very, very good. Thanks for watching this video. You can read more on these two and more over on Dawg Post. You can sign up to our newsletter. It's free. You can click on it right down below. It's free to sign up. Would love to see you over there. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoy the next one. Hope to see you over on Dawg Post.